Josh here from Inside Wrestling Truth, and today we're hanging out with Big Zo. How you, man?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. First off, let's talk about what made you want to get into wrestling. What made you want to get into the wrestling business?
Well, I mean, I think like most wrestlers, I'm a big fan, man. Mark at heart, first and foremost.
Yeah.
I guess when I think about wrestling, I think about it in terms of college. I'm kind of a non-traditional student. My story is, I actually started in the wrestling business about 15 years ago. The way that any self-respectable wrestler would in the backyard. For a little fed, IHW, intense hardcore wrestling. I don't really know how intense or hardcore it was. When we were, 15, 16, hitting each other with stop signs and barbed wire and that kind of stuff. But really just started off that way. And I had the opportunity to hook up with some guys. Brian Benson, I really credit him for getting me into the business, actually getting me into a ring. So I guess really my love for the business and why I got into it was just because I'm a big time fan.
Right.
I loved watching it growing up.
Let's talk about SWE a little bit because that's where I first seen you wrestle.
Sure.
How did you get your start there?
Okay. So, like I said, I'm kind of non-traditional. So although I started in the business 15 years ago, I only credit myself for being a 2-year veteran.
Okay.
Veteran, I use the term loosely. Because I started off back in 99, 2000, did it for about a year, then life happened. Went off to college, started a family, got a career. But ultimately, literally about a year ago to this date almost, I went to a D1W show. And I was just, I saw Shane Mercer and Isaiah and guys like that just tearing it up. Who else was there? There was a lot of guys. That was actually the show that had Tommy Dreamer and Sabu.
Okay.
And so that was kind of what got me in the door. I didn't even know what the Fed was. I think I thought it was an OVW show initially. Now I got in there, I was like, oh, D1W. But anyways, that's what's kind of re-piqued my interest back in the business, was going and seeing like a live indie show.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I was kind of promoting, hey guys, check out indie wrestling, D1W, I'm excited about this stuff. And then I had a buddy from college, Frank the Tank. He saw my messages, and he actually had his wife, Kayla, to message me, and she's like, hey, do you wrestle? And I was like, well, I did, like at the time, 13, 14 years ago, but I haven't been in a wrestling ring since I was like 16. But then he's like, would you be interested in getting back into it? So I was like, heck yeah. So February last year, this is February 2015, February 2014, went to a show, got interested, then I got back into the business. Long story short, started working a couple of feds, just kind of doing the independent thing as an independent wrestler, promoting myself, going different places. I realized along the way, talking to different people, even though I was getting experience, I still wanted more formalized training. So from that, I started working at IWA with Ian Wright and stuff, kind of going to some seminars, and that was pretty good. But then I had the opportunity to work a couple of IWA shows, in which case I ended up running the cash flow. We were into a battle royal together, and I was the crazy young buck that, didn't mind as soon as the bell rung, I was a heel, he's a face, I punched him in the face. And we started going at it. And, back in the locker room, it's kind of like, man, I really appreciate you not being too scared to actually, to do what you had to do. So he's like, kind of put out that olive branch. Then we worked an EPW show together. And he's just like, whenever you get that Kentucky license, let me know. Had the opportunity, got the Kentucky license, and I really wanted a place to call home. I really wanted to start my more formalized training. SWE gave me that opportunity.
Do you have a favorite match from SW?
I guess I would have to go with probably the match I had as a triple threat match. Me, Madman Pondo, and Lennox Norris. Now, it wasn't necessarily a good match because, I did so much finessing and it was a great, it wasn't necessarily my most technically great match. Not that Big Zo has very many technically great matches. I'm more of a brawler in a way.
Right.
But it was just the opportunity to be in the ring with two seasoned veterans like that, with two very different styles. You have Madman Pondo, a guy who I remember the very first time that I wrestled, when I was 15, 16 at the Bardstown Armory, him and J.C. Bailey were going at it. That was a time, I think if you look at one of those beyond backyard wrestling or whatever. It's when J.C. Bailey got his head busted open with the stop sign Pondo. So I always knew Pondo, and even though I was never like big into indie wrestling to where like I knew a whole lot about it, I always knew who Madman Pondo was. So having the opportunity to get into the ring with a guy that I kind of idolized in a way, because similar body style, similar wrestling style, he's obviously way more on the hardcore end of things than I am at this point. Then obviously Lennox Norris and I, we had the opportunity to be in a stable together. He's just an all-around great guy, very technically savvy, and I just enjoyed being able to be a part of that match. It wasn't necessarily my best match, but I'd say if I can give a couple others, and I'm kind of a chatty patty when I actually get to talking, which is different from my character. But I really enjoyed this street fight match we had. It was a tornado tag match. I'm trying to remember who I was in it. It was me, Apollo, Bradzilla versus James Kendrick, Josiah Kane, and Corey Havoc. I really enjoyed that match because it was an opportunity to be out in the crowd, and like when you're out in the crowd, you got to lay them in, you know? Yeah. So just like one of my more physical matches, and I was working primarily with James Kendrick. He and I have had a long standing feud, like 6-7 months going at it. We've become good friends, like one of my better friends in the business. So being able to go at it with him, like just a lot of mutual trust. We had the Bluegrass title as far as he had it, I had it, kind of feuding back and forth in that way. But good, solid guy, and being able to have that no holds barred into the crowd and having that feedback, that was another match I really appreciated.
What about like your favorite moment? Is there anything that stood out while you were at SW that just like just a favorite moment, or you know, it don't have to be like a match, just
Sure.
like an angle or anything like that?
I mean, I guess I could say definitely winning that Bluegrass title, you know.
Okay.
That was, unfortunately, that was toward the end of SWE's run. I guess I won it, and then there was maybe 2 more shows. And I don't want to say SW is dead, because it's not dead, so I don't want to say the end of their run, but the end of their weekly Friday run. They're changing the business model to more of a every few months type of big match style, cool. Big event type of deal. So SW is not dead, but unfortunately I don't have my every Friday home. But definitely having that honor bestowed on me to say, hey, you know, you made it, kid. You have enough following. I've heard the Big Zo sucks, Big Zo sucks, Big Zo sucks for so long. But as long as they're making noise, you know that, you know, whether it's, whoa, Zo time, you know, we like you or we hate you. If they're making a lot of noise, you're feeling something. Yeah. So definitely that was a highlight, being able to have that opportunity.
Okay, let's talk EPW. You worked there for a while, a little bit, didn't you?
I did one show there.
One show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the first one they did at the Rustic Frog.
How did you get started working at EPW?
So that was a situation. Again, I got to credit Brian Vincent, Warlock, Big T Miza, whatever you guys call him. He actually has his own podcast, the Back Row Hecklers. Yeah. But I credit him for that because, you know, when he first saw me come back to the business, well, when I first saw him at a D1W show, that's when we kind of reconnected, and ever since then we've kind of been talking. He's the one that always instilled in me, you gotta get trained, do it upright, don't work for these shindies, man. You know, you gotta get for some good, legit feds and work with some good workers so you can learn how to, you know, hone in your craft. Yeah. So he talked to some of the guys at EPW, he talked to Christian Skyfire and Cage Cutler and them, and kind of put in, you know, word. And apparently, you know, back in the day, Christian Skyfire and them, we kind of with the FPW, Futures of Professional Wrestling, which is the Pro-Am Fed that all those guys, a lot of the guys they see on the indies now, Isaiah was a part of it, you know, there was a lot of guys. But just seeing, kind of getting that feedback that you want to get your name out there, get the exposure. So I ran into Christian Skyfire at IWA when I was helping to put up the ring. One day, you know, it was right before the IWA show. I think I was in a battle royal or something. He's like, hey, you know, we have an EPW show here in 2 weeks. You know, help sell tickets. We'll get you on the show. I was like, cool. I'm hungry for opportunities, and he gave me one, so I'm appreciative of that.
Right. When you were at EPW, who did you get to work with? That
was Sosa. I worked with a dude named Sosa. And he's the same dude that I worked with at IWA. He's a good guy, real good guy, definitely green. But of course that was better part of a year ago, so I can't speak to where his growth is or if he's even still in the business. But you know, we had fun. The match was what it was.
You talked about it a little bit earlier. What all did you do with the IWA Mid-South?
Not a whole lot, not as much as I want to do yet, but I'm really looking to reconnect with them. I actually I think it was this past, not yesterday, but I think it was the Thursday before, was the tryout show. So I was able to participate in that. Unfortunately, during that match, I hyperextended my left knee when I was ducking a clothesline. So I didn't get to do all that I wanted to do during that, but the fans were still in love, and they still gave me the Big Zo chants, please come back, and that kind of stuff. So they were receptive, even though I did legitimately get hurt and didn't get to showcase all my talents that I wanted to. But it was an awesome experience. So I got to do, most recently, that tryout show. The week before, I came to sign up for the tryout show, and just so happened to have the opportunity to participate in a battle royal.
Yeah, I was there for that one. Yeah, I seen that.
So unfortunately, one of my best friends in the business, Shane Mercer, he got the better of me, tossed me over the top rope. But it is what it is. So I had the opportunity to do that. And then prior to that, I participated in that battle royal I mentioned earlier, where Cash Lund, I kind of went at it. I think me and Mitch and American Viking, they were the ones that it was a reverse battle royal. So that's where they had to throw me in the ring. Yeah. That was definitely an experience that I lived in the books. So I had the opportunity to do that, and I also got to work with the Sosa kid again I was talking about. So I've had, I guess, four deals with IWA. Looking forward to, now that I've had that tryout show, definitely re-engage with them, and they have a weekly show, and I'd love to be a part of it, if not every week, you know, as Ian can use me. Yeah.
How did you come up with the name Big Zo?
I have to credit that to Frank the Tank also. Right before, it was a UWA show that I was going to work for the first time, and it wasn't even necessarily planning on working on the show. I was just going to be the valet, kind of doing the security angle, the big security bruiser angle. So we were like, what can we use as a name? We're just kind of tossing out ideas, Beast Mode Beast. Then I'm a part of a fraternity. As I told you, kind of my life spun in a different direction away from wrestling for a while. Mm-hmm. So I did the college thing, got my bachelor's and my master's. And I mentioned that Frank was a college friend. We went to Murray State together. So I was wearing a Murray State Alpha Phi Alpha shirt. That's the fraternity I'm in, A5, 1906. So the chapter that I'm a part of, number 345, the 145th chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, undergrad chapter was Zeta Omicron, is Zeta Omicron. So on my shirt it has a ZO, so it's like Zeta Omicron, ZO, Zo, Big Zo. So I was like, sure, we'll roll with that. So it's part of something that's really important to me. So it's kind of what we went with.
All right. The next question is it's really touchy, but you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But we're going to talk about racism.
Okay.
Have you ever had any bad experiences with racism since you've been in the business, like promoter-wise, or
Yeah, I'm not scared to answer.
Okay.
I don't know that I can say that I've ever been directly a victim of racism in the business. Definitely throughout the last 30 years of life, I've been a victim of racism. But as far as in the business, I feel like I've been given opportunities regardless of my race. I do feel as though sometimes people do focus a little bit on the race, maybe a little bit more than they could, like with certain angles. And I think that some guys in the locker room get a little extra comfortable because you're that kind of almost a double minority in the locker room because number one, you're a black guy, number two, you're a black guy in the wrestling world. So it's like, we can kind of, throw the N-word around cavalierly and say whatever we want to say and kind of joke. And, you don't want to be oversensitive and kind of get on your defensive or whatever about it. So I try not to, because I know these guys aren't really hating. I'm sure there are some guys that they have some hatred. But in general, no, I don't feel like I've been mistreated by any promoters or anything for that purpose. Not yet, so hope it doesn't happen.
All right, I'm going to name some guys off to you, and you just give me your thoughts, or you can give me a one-word definition, whatever you want to do. Okay. First one is Frank the Tank.
Good friend. I say Oh, I'm sorry. Am I limited to the one word?
Nah, whatever you want to say.
Okay, whatever I want to say.
Yeah.
Frank, I definitely credit him for pulling me back into business. Because if it wasn't for Frank, I'd still be just a fan. Which there's nothing wrong with being a fan. Nothing wrong with being a mark. And I say the word, definitely with the most adoration with that. Because if it wasn't for people coming to watch us, then we'd be a bunch of grown men in the ring fighting. But I had the opportunity to get back into it because he reminded me, hey, there's a niche for you in this business and we could use you. So I respect. That's the word I go with for Frank.
Apollo?
Apollo, solid. I love Apollo. He's another guy who definitely has taken me under his wing. I mentioned stable earlier. It was myself, Apollo, and Lennox Norris, which had kind of tied into the race thing because we're all black guys, and we were called the Panthers in SWE. That angle never really took off like I probably would like it to flourish because there was so many different angles going on at the time. There was the SWE Saints and the Misfits, and there's so many stables to where we never really got a chance to have a whole lot to take off with it. But Apollo, he's again one of the first guys I saw at that D1W show. So I saw him there, and then I saw him at the UWA show when I first broke into the business, and I had the opportunity to work matches with him. So he was the first, as far as I'm concerned, big name indie guy that I worked. And I remember telling my buddies, I get to work Apollo. So privileged, I was definitely privileged to have that opportunity. He's just all around good guy.
Lennox Norris.
Solid technician. Solid technician. Underrated.
Yeah.
There's no reason why. I'm sure that there's reasons, but no reason in my book why he can't be in a WWE or Ring of Honor or somewhere, some bigger promotion than he is.
I agree.
Unfortunately, I think that time's getting away from him because, of course, he's in his 40s now, but you would never be able to tell. He keeps himself in great shape, takes the business seriously. He's one who could probably speak a little bit more to the race thing because I think he's been in it for longer, and he's experienced some not so fair treatment, but just solid guy.
Cash flow.
Big brother cash flow. As I mentioned, he was my trainer. Like as far as that's one of the things in the indies with wrestling. Everybody wants to know who's your trainer. Initially I say Frank. He taught me a couple of things. He really pulled me into the business. But as far as actually having an opportunity to train, I'd already planned on approaching cash flow. Hey, I would like to train with you guys. But before I even had the chance, he was like, hey, Big Zo, I know you're coming to the show. I really want to talk to you. And I think it'd be a good idea if you consider training. I'm like, you don't have to sell me on this because I was already wanting to do this. So we were on the same page. But he's definitely, as far as he's a legend. In the backyard, as I said, IHW, one of the guys I worked with, he came in with the name Cash Flow. So the first ring show that we went to, Cash Flow was there. There's a big joke about, well, we can't have two Cash Flows, so you got to earn your respect, get in the ring, and give them, let them give you 20 chops. My friend about peed himself, but respect, legend, big brother, take him under his wing is awesome. Yeah.
RJ Douglas.
Oh, I hate that guy. No, I'm teasing. RJ, another big brother, man. I love RJ. He is honest. He's humble. One of the funniest guys. In the locker room, we always ripping, cutting up. So definitely have nothing but love for RJ. He's a solid manager. Just all around great fun guy.
Shane Mercer.
One of my best friends in the business. I don't know if that feeling is kind of mutual or not, but when it comes to cutting up, the locker room in a lot of federations is a place of solace and serious kind of, you better be stiff and shut your mouth, don't say anything. But being able to, like the SW locker room and a lot of the locker rooms I've had the opportunity to be in, I've been blessed to have a bunch of cool guys that aren't quite as stiff. So like when getting there with Shane, we're just silly, man. He and we just cut up, and he's the guy that like really pulled me under his wing again. Since the SW's kind of shut down, I've kind of lost in some ways. It's like, man, let's road trip, bro. I had this deal in Indianapolis, come with me. I had this deal in Bloomington, come with me. And just always open opportunities. Unfortunately, because of my life, my work schedule, I'm not quite as flexible, but he's a dude that you look on the internet, he's on every single flyer. He's like worked for every single
Yeah.
Fed, just about, definitely the reputable ones. So he's somebody that, like I said, when I first went to that D1W show, yeah, I went to see Sabu, yeah, I went to see Tommy Dreamer, but it was when I saw Shane Mercer. This is a local guy who, you know, I started doing bench pressing 400. This kid is 150 pounds lighter than me and bench pressing 150 pounds more than me. So, yeah, nothing but respect for that guy.
And Justin Storm.
He's a clown. I love Justin to death. He is, just watching him come out, that little bouncing thing with his little red hair bouncing around. He's just fun, all around fun, in the ring, out of the ring. He's honest, gives me respect and feedback as far as, hey man, that match was brutal, you know, you were vicious, you know, feedback, or, you know, it kind of seemed like you were holding back there. Like, because he got that injury, so unfortunately that kept him away from the ring for a little bit, but he got to be in an observation mode and would give that honest feedback. I think that was greatly appreciative, but just all around fun, good guy.
Who's been your stiffest opponent?
Probably Mercer. The time I fought him, he does that, I don't even know what you call it, but he gets behind you and he starts welling on you with those big meat hooks on your chest. It's like, oh, kind of seeing stars here. And I'm a big guy and I can take a lot, but he's pretty stiff, but not in a bad way. It's like I appreciate and like that because it's like I don't have to work too hard to sell it because it's kind of real, it's organic. But when guys are kind of like, come on, dude, we're fighting, you know, you're not going to break me. So yeah, I appreciate that about him.
Most heat that you've ever got?
Most heat? Probably when Nick Depp was proposing to his fiance at the time, and Cashflow and I took it upon ourselves to deliver like 3 power bombs to him.
Oh, that would have been great. I was
oh yeah, we beat the mess out of that kid. But we got some mad heat for that. Yeah, that's probably, and then yeah, that's probably right.
Let's talk about enemies in the business. Do you have any enemies in the business? Or?
I like to say no. There's nobody that I have any hard feelings against. And hopefully that's mutual. There might be somebody that hates Big Zo, and I'd like to know who or why. Actually, no, I don't. I really don't care.
Right.
Because it probably just, yeah, no. I mean, I'm just in life in general. I don't like try to keep the drama out of it. I do this because I love the business. So if I'm doing something I love, I want to keep love as the focus and the priority. So no, I mean, I got nothing but love for most people in the business. There's some people maybe I don't respect as much as others, but that's not necessarily for me to put on blast either. But nobody's even coming to mind, so don't like take that and run with it. But
what about your worst company?
Well, I haven't had the opportunity to wrestle for too many companies, and I don't want to like play politics, but I also don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'd say I've enjoyed I've worked for IWA, I've worked for EPW, I've worked for SWE, I work for UWA. I guess if we just want to go from balance of talent, UWA has been an awesome company to work for. They brought me in, they brought me back into the business. I've enjoyed myself. I probably had some of the most fun there. But there's a few guys there I kind of wish they would really hone up on their training. You know, I left there for a while because I had a contractual obligation at SWE to where I kind of had to just work with that company. But I feel like I did that for me to get a little bit better. And I think that some of the guys, a lot of the guys there, you know, I know that Apollo offers his services to train, and they don't really always take advantage of that. Right. So some people are just kind of happy being happy. But as far as like Tony Dunn, you know, Jack, those guys, they're wonderful to me. I can't say anything bad about the promotion. They're growing, they're flourishing. It's a fun place to go. I just kind of think that they have so much untapped potential. So that's the only negative I can really say about them. So it's not a bad place to work. I've enjoyed it, but I think it has the potential to take off to the next level. They have that TV deal. A lot of people would kill to have TV. So just take advantage of that. That's my only feedback.
What's been your least favorite match? One you just...
The drizzling.
Yeah.
Well, well, never mind. It's not necessary. I was going to say how explicit can we get, but I don't have to.
It don't matter, whatever.
Yeah, but the drizzling shits.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm really hard on myself. So I thought that Trout show where I bumped my knee, I was like, oh man, this sucks so bad. because I couldn't do all that I wanted to do, and I was kind of running half speed the second half of the match. So in my mind, I kind of thought that was not a very good match. But the feedback I got from the fans was like, hey, you know, sure you hurt yourself, but that happens, and it was turned out to be pretty okay, all things considered. So I don't want to, I think since that was one of the most recent things in my head that kind of still sticks out, like I want to redo, I want to do over.
Yeah.
But as far as matches, I mean, I guess me and Sosa, either one of those matches, he's a good guy again, and this isn't anything about his talent. This is a year ago. I think that we probably could have done some stuff to get more on the same page. I think early on in my career, me and Brad Zilla, he and I now click really well. But I think that there was a match, and a lot of it was me trying to get too fancy, trying to do a backhand spring clothesline type of deal that got me caught up in the ropes, and you know, it turned into a shoulder tackle into the corner fest. Not Brad's fault, but some of that stuff going on. So I don't know. I'd say maybe one of my matches with Brad early on, if we had a redo, I know we could light the place up now. And it was on me. I put it on me. But really, that Sosa match probably drew some shit. It's either one, EPW, IWA.
Okay. Where would you like to be in the wrestling business in 5 years?
I mean, I'd be bullshitting if I said I don't want to be in the E. I mean, any self-respecting indie worker. I mean, I don't say any because everybody has their own lives and everybody has their own deal. Some people are cool with being weekend warriors. I kind of straddle the fence because working a 40, 50, 60 hour a week shoe job, I'm a therapist, child and mental health therapist. So that's pretty taxing. I have 2 of my little ones at home and a wife, and happy wife, happy life. I definitely want to spend as much time with her and be able to not piss her off with my absence while I'm getting paid, $15, $20, $25 to be gone for all day. But I think that if I were to be able to make it to the E, then it would feel like, man, you've made it. It was worthwhile. But I also realize it's going to take a lot more work to get there. So I'd say realistically, if I could be, I don't know, even just working around some of the more reputable local feds, I'd be happy.
Who are some guys you would like to work with that you haven't?
I haven't worked with Isaiah yet. That's another guy that I really, really respect in the business. On a shoot, there was actually an opportunity that I kind of feel like I kind of dropped the ball on it, where, again, going back to Brian Benson, he was like, hey, if you want to really make it in this business, you want to get trained, I will holler at Isaiah, he'll get you hooked up and get it all together. So then I had to sit down, had a lunch with Hi, and we started talking about it. But at this point, I was literally had like 1-2 matches back in the business, and I wasn't really sure how invested I was. So I didn't really capitalize on that opportunity to have him as a trainer. And I kind of feel like, I was worried that I would burn a bridge. I've talked to him since. I think we're in a pretty okay place. But I feel like, he offered me something I didn't take advantage, and that could be misinterpreted as me trying to be disrespectful or me trying to do whatever I want to do or me not taking the business seriously. But that aside, as far as his in-ring ability and skills, his high-flying swanton deal, and I would love to have the opportunity to work with him. But yeah, I'm sure there's other guys too. I would definitely love to do something with the Hooligans. Because I feel like I could be like an unofficial third member of the Hooligans. Yeah. No, I say that like jokingly, but I don't, because I have no disrespect. Like if they're like, this guy's drizzling shits, I don't mean, but in the sense that we're similar body style as far as big guys that can kind of do some stuff, as far as some agility type of stuff. I really look up to those guys, and I would love to work a match with them. But yeah, those couple guys.
What's been your worst injury?
I've been blessed to not have any like really seriously debilitating injuries that required any kind of hospitalization or stuff. I've had nicks and bruises. I had not even in the ring, but really it's just now coming to. I had to get both of these fingernails in them falling off. Just setting up the arena, so I wasn't even in the match. I tripped, fell, had about a stack of 10, 15 of those, if anybody's been to the SW show, the white wooden chairs. Somebody had a mat laying out. I tripped and fell between the concrete floor and 10, 15 of those chairs, probably, I don't know, weigh about 75 pounds or so. Smashed these two fingertips. That hurt like hell. Having my knee tweaked during that trout show, that sucked because that was an in-ring injury was going. I've been favoring my shoulders lately. I think it's just tendonitis, but it's been really keeping me out of the gym from lifting like I want to. So that's been an ongoing nagging deal for the last 4 months or so. But it's not a big deal. But I'd say the biggest, probably in some ways took me out of wrestling 15 years ago was, what was his name? I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name. Oh, Daniel Quinn. I'm sorry. Pretty big name. I forgot it. But Daniel Quinn, back in the FPW days, he said, "Hey, bro, I want to try this new move." This is at JC Bailey's. So it's called the Super Saiyan kick. I'm like, all right, cool. He didn't tell me how to post or anything for it. Next thing I know, we're halfway from Bardstown to Louisville. I'm in the car asking them, "Hey, where we at? What's going on?" Dude, for the 50th fucking time, we're in the car. We're heading back home from Louisville. You got your bell rung. So I'd say, and that was the last time that I wrestled, and I don't know if it was so much my choice or more of like, I kind of stopped hearing from those guys, and I'm probably like, this guy's dad's probably going to beat us up. We're knocking out a 16-year-old son and stuff. So I wasn't as excited about wrestling at that point, but I probably would have continued. But, yeah.
What do you think is the biggest problem in the indies today?
I'd say egos. I mean, the biggest problem in the indies is egos. And that's pretty much all walks of life. You got so many guys that assume that their stuff doesn't stink. And they're not really willing to be humble. They're assuming that the wrestling business owes them something instead of realizing it's a blessing to have the opportunity to be to be a wrestler. So I'd say the lack of humility. Also the lack of unity amongst feds. There's some opportunities out here, like when you have the area is saturated with all these different companies running so many different things instead of joining together and saying, why don't we make a conglomerate, a super fed, instead of you run Thursday, I run Friday, you run Saturday, then they'll run Sunday, and we're all in the same neighborhood. Why not join up, pull your resources? Because fans, they can't afford to pay $10 a pop or even $6, $7 a pop to go to 5 damn wrestling shows a week.
Yeah.
The fact that they can come to some on a weekly basis blows my mind, because I'm like, dude, I couldn't afford for that, and I have a pretty okay job, but I couldn't imagine going to these indie shows that often and putting up that kind of money. So for you fans, man, nothing but love and respect. But I think we need more unity, joining together, pulling our resources, and wrestlers, being more humble, realizing that the business don't owe them nothing. Help tear down the ring, help put up a ring, help set up an arena. Don't just come for your 5 minutes and leave. Yeah, pay your dues. Okay.
What do you love and hate the most about the wrestling business?
There's not many things that I don't love about it. I love the athleticism. I love the art form of it. I love the camaraderie. I love being given the opportunity to entertain people. As I mentioned, I went to college. My degrees are in social work. My master's and my bachelor's in social work. So I feel like I kind of sort of know people, and I like people. And I got into a profession where I could have the opportunity to help people because I like people. So when I have the opportunity to entertain people, then it's kind of like the same line of work. So I'm a wrestling social worker. Even though people are kind of like, that's like apples and oranges, night and day. It's really the same thing. So, yeah. I'm sorry, what's the question? What I hate about the business?
Yeah.
Probably what I said again. As far as people, the hatred, the snakes, the backstabbing, people just not being genuine, a lot of the behind the back stuff.
Right. All right, I'm going to name off some promotions, major promotions, and you let me know your thoughts on them.
Okay.
The first one is Global Force Wrestling.
Definitely up and coming industry. I think that what they're doing is really unique, and what I kind of mentioned as far as pooling resources. as far as like the New Japan and all the, like, hey, we have these wrestlers, we have these wrestlers, we have these wrestlers, as opposed to saying you have to stay in your cubbyhole, you stay in your cubbyhole, you stay in your cubbyhole. They're like trying to mesh them together.
Yeah.
So I really hope that Global Force takes off. Like what Jeff Jarrett's doing is awesome, and I think if it's done right, it could be a good competition for WWE, which is what's missing in the business. Because, oh my God, when WWE and WCW were on the same time, Monday Night Wars, coming home, middle school, high school, just like that was Monday was the best day of the week. Now people talk about, so that's the case of the Mondays. Back then, Monday was the night you looked forward to it. So I hope the Global Force can give WWE a run for its money, because that's what's missing is competition.
ROH.
Ring of Honor. Definitely a stepping stone for a lot of guys to get to the WWE. I think that, but not even that. I think it goes outside that. There's some guys that might have been to the E and they're kind of wanting to do their own thing. Like you got Alberto Del Rio, Alberto Patron. Like they've kind of had their opportunity in the E, but they still want to have that big main event indie feel. But also, I think it has the potential to. It probably will never compete to WWE on like a WCW level. Yeah. But it's like if you're talking about indies, Ring of Honor is kind of like the benchmark. It's kind of like the stepping stone to if you're talking about wanting to get to something. That's where you're gonna get that exposure.
Yeah. NXT.
Oh my gosh, better than WWE, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because obviously I just sat up here and talked about how my goal, my dream, my passion is to become a part of the WWE. But as far as the in-ring product, as far as being able to just be loose and not have to be so scripted and robotic, those guys get to get in there and do their thing. And I think that's what's missing in the Attitude Era. Guys take a script, ripped it up, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Right. NXT, Triple H gives those guys the opportunity to be loose, have fun, practice the craft, work the crowd. I think that's kind of, NXT is, enjoyable. Awesome. It is awesome.
TNA?
TNA. I don't know. The first word that came to mind was disappointment. And that might not be fair because I don't actively follow TNA, so I can't really say if it's good or if it's bad. It just hasn't engaged me. I tried to watch it recently, and it just doesn't really engage me. It's kind of like a step down from SmackDown. I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of good workers, a lot of talent. And I think it has the opportunity. It might even be a better product than WWE in some respects, but it's hard to kind of make that transition because it's not hooking me enough.
And the last one, of course, is WWE.
WWE is obviously the pinnacle. It's like the once you make it to the E, you've made it. But I think the problem with the E is complacency. Whether that's complacency with talent, complacency with the upper management, complacency with, I don't know, like just not the lack of competition, as I mentioned earlier. There's not a WCW to feud with. Yeah. So I think that's kind of my big, I don't know, but I would love to be there, obviously. I mean, as far as historically, they're the shit. I mean, WWE is where it's at. It's the place to be. And I think if we can get back to the formula that made the Attitude Era what it was, the PG era, the reality era, whatever, it has potential. We have so many talented Dean Ambroses and Daniel Bryans and Cesaros and some really good talent there that they're not really given the opportunity to work the mic. They're not really given the freedom to express themselves in the way that they could and should. And then even Triple H said in his interview, if y'all watched that on Stone Cold podcast recently, that it's hard to run a 3-hour show. So if it's hard to run a 3-hour show, it's hard to watch a 3-hour show. Like a lot of times I find myself watching the 90-minute deal on Hulu because I want to watch some wrestling. That's what I love about NXT is it's wrestling. Yes, they cut a little 5-minute promo here and there to kind of let you know why they're doing it, why the feud's existing. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, too much soap opera, not enough fight. As I contradict myself 12 times in one rant about WWE.
What's your thoughts on hardcore and tag team wrestling? Do you feel like it's dying? Okay. Hardcore wrestling. I respect anybody that's willing to put their body on the line and do that. It's not personally
my preferred niche, even though I did start off IHW and hardcore wrestling. I idolized IWA back in the day, but like as far as a little kid, and even though I want to work for a fed like that, I don't necessarily want to be a king of the death match or prince of the death match. And I don't knock anybody that wants to do that. I know death match and hardcore is apples and oranges, so I don't want to make that distinction, cloud that vision. But if you're willing to put your body on the line to do that to entertain people, that's awesome. More power to you. I respect it. And it's entertaining. I wouldn't mind watching it. But I have kids. I have a wife. Part of the reason, like when I said the Isaiah thing, not getting into training, was he wanted to go amalgamate it, let's hop into it and do this thing. I'm kind of tiptoeing my way into the business because as I said, happy wife, happy life. Don't want to turn her off to the business by being gone, 5 times a week and doing all that stuff. And I don't want to turn her off by killing myself. I want my kids to be able to watch what I do from occasion. I mean, they're not going to be able to come to every IWA or some of those shows that are more adult-based. Right. But Daddy's not going to gig and get bloody all the time because it's just not me. Tag team wrestling, I think there's definitely a place for it. I think it's a lost art. There are some really good, potentially awesome tag team situations that I think aren't capitalized on. Like with the WWE, you kind of have like the Usos. I love Jimmy and Jay. They're entertaining, but it's kind of stale in some ways. It's like, oh, here's our WWE champion. Let's kind of give them the belts and keep it to them, as opposed to keeping it fresh. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of wrestlers. It's really helping out, like guys like Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, one of my favorite tag teams right now. It's helped Cody Rhodes with Stardust. Yeah. There's a place for tag team. It's helped so many people to get on the map. And I think as far as doing it, I love doing it because, well, when you're 350 pounds, you don't always have the stamina to run a 30-minute match, but it's kind of nice to be able to come in and tag out, tag in, and have that 4 different people telling 4 different stories, a bunch of different stories in one match. So it's definitely a good style. Just not every match should be a tag match.
What's your thoughts on going to work for CCW?
I'm excited as hell. I had the opportunity to go to a CCW show. I don't know if it was last Saturday or the Saturday before, but it was recently. I think it was this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. So went to Evansville. It's far. 2 hours. It's not close, but it's. After going there, I realized it's kind of worth it for the trip.
Yeah.
Jimmy Felcher, he reached out to me and was like, hey Zo, I'd like to give you an opportunity to come check us out. And I'm definitely blessed and gracious for that. He's a guy that back in SWE, that's when I first met him. He was in the locker room back there. So kind of talking to him initially, I was like, hey Jimmy, what I got to do to get booked with you? He's like, get your intensity up, man. You got to be more intense, more intense, more intense. And I'm taking that and I'm Big Zo, I'm Big fucking Zo. Yeah. So every match, I'm like, I'm gonna be intense. Like from the time that my music hits, I'm coming out, it's Zo time. Like I'm feeling that. They say that the best wrestler is the one who is most like themselves, and that's how I am. As you can tell from me talking about a minute, I'm high energy, and that's how I like to go into the ring. I'm looking forward in CCW showing that intensity, showing that energy, showing that, yes, you can be 350 pounds and still do a spinning back kick and kick somebody in the mouth and do a senton off the top rope if you need to and a back handspring or whatever you got to do. But I'm excited to be a part of that because it's just solid wrestling. I got to be a fan. And I'm usually kind of weird about going to other indie promoters as a fan and not working a show because you kind of wonder if the fans are going to be like, well, why couldn't you get booked here or whatever. Or people kind of come up to you. But I humbled myself down. My buddies wanted to go. I wanted to go. And I knew I was going to be on there soon. So I'm really excited. Talked to Jimmy about it a couple of nights ago. I'm like, I'm ready to go, man. Let's do this. Good promotion. Solid workers.
What about regrets in your career? Have any regrets?
Well, I try not to live my life based on a regret model. Everything I've done was kind of for a reason. But I do. At this point in my life, I'm going to be 30 next month. And I know that the wrestling business is one for, they really want you to get you while you're younger. If they can get you when you're 18 and really start to work with you, guys like DDP that came in when they're 35, it's possible to start at a later age. But it's like, as I mentioned, I started in 1999. If I would work from 1999, then right now I'd be a 15-year veteran. But I'm not. I'm a 2-year veteran. And really, I count the first year as being in the Pro-Am. So 1 year of pro veteran, So I still give myself credit for 2 years. But I kind of regret not being able to have that time under my belt, not taking advantage of more road tripping opportunities. But I don't regret my life, because I wouldn't be married right now. I wouldn't have 2 degrees. I wouldn't have an awesome job. I wouldn't have an awesome kid or awesome kids. I wouldn't have a lot of the other stuff. So it's kind of a sacrifice, just like there's sacrifice for the business, there's sacrifice for your life. And my sacrifice for my life was the business. But now I'm back in it and hoping that I can make the most out of these opportunities.
This is a question I ask everybody that I interview.
Sure.
What's your favorite pro wrestling moment as a fan?
As a fan? That is a tough one, man. I'd say the most shocking, and this is going to be cliche, was Brock Lesnar beating Undertaker. Definitely most shocking, definitely not my favorite. Favorite, what did I really mark out to? I was big Kevin Nash fan. I love the NWO, the Wolfpack. Pretty much anything they did back then was gold. I don't know. I'm not a huge Daniel Bryan fan, but I think when he won that belt at WrestleMania 30, kind of got a little, not necessarily emotional, but kind of like, damn, yeah, this guy, he really deserved it. He really deserved it. I think when Goldberg won the belt the first time, I kind of had that feeling too. As soon as you turn that camera off, I'm probably going to think of something, and I'm going to be like, why did I mention that? But right now, off the top of my head, it's hard. It's real hard. I don't know. But those are a couple of little pieces.
Well, I appreciate you doing this interview with me, man. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the fans out there or anybody watching?
Well, hey guys, check me out. My memory's not always the best, so I have my business cards. I'm not really sure how this is going to look here. But that's my contact information. Definitely go to my Facebook page, my Big Zo page, www.facebook.com/BigZoWrestle. My Twitter handle is Big Zo Wrestle. YouTube page, Zotime TV. Please subscribe to that. More stuff coming. This, hopefully, if with your permission, I'd like to upload this to that also. Instagram, BigZo.Wrestle. Definitely stay tuned, stay plugged in. I'm looking to really start to solidify myself in the area and hopefully have more opportunities to entertain the fans and to continue to hone my craft. I think I still have a lot of progression to be made as far as my talent, my skill, but as long as people continue to give me opportunities and give me a chance and you guys keep asking for me, then I'm going to keep getting better and I'm going to keep entertaining and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. What time is it? Zo time.
Thank you.